What up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy Ryan, man. I'm back with another video. This is Trigger Reactions. Hope you guys are doing great today. I'm doing well. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And yeah, guys, we're back with another video from Jordan Peterson. He's on a panel, Q&A, and I think it's in Australia. And these guys, he basically tells a feminist how it is and just speaks from his perspective. I've already done a few videos on Jordan Peterson. I told you guys I think he's one of the brilliant minds of our society. I've read a few of his books. I think he is a great just leader and person of pushing things forward. And one of the great things I like about him is he was an atheist before, turned to God, Christian. And he speaks about the Bible a lot, and he tells people about God a lot, and that is why I really, 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 really appreciate this man and what he does. But look, let's get right into the video, man, and let's see what he has to say, and then we give our opinion on it. Let's go.
The first thing I would say is that I'm not anti-feminist per se. I mean, I think the idea that the world would benefit from the movement of talent from both sexes into the workplace as rapidly as possible is something that anyone with any sense should share, given the the rarity of talent and the necessity for utilizing it. I do stand by my original statement, though, that there's a brand of more radical feminism that insists that our culture is best characterized as an oppressive patriarchy.
Radical feminism, just like anything radical, completely destroys the defense and the foundation of that movement. That's just what I believe. You can have radical leftists, radical right, conservative. You can have anything radical to me. Now, I'm not saying you can't have or take a radical approach, because sometimes you have to push that line of extremity and what you're willing to do and stand for. I believe that. But to be radical completely destroys, I believe, any movement's foundation and anything it stands on. That's just my opinion. And what he's saying here is that feminism has become radical, and that's why it's clearly poisoning the actual movement. Because I believe most, whether you're conservative, right, whatever, we want feminine energy, women, period, feminine, just the approach, and in the workplace or just in government, in business, in anything. I think we want equal, not equal, but we want, because equal isn't the term. I think that gets thrown around a lot. Like, men and women aren't equal. We're not equal. That's like saying a hammer and a screwdriver are equal. It's not. They're two different tools, two different things that have similarities. They both can get a nail out. You get what I'm saying? So, but my point is, I think that most people, most decent human beings, want women to have rights, want women to work in the workplace, and want people to have rights. So when it becomes feminist, masculine, it's absurd. Even with the masculine thing, all of it, anything radical, again, I believe, tears down the foundation, which means that movement has nothing to stand on when it becomes radical. It's like having that drunk friend at the party who's saying something very loud, or probably was someone assaulted them, but they're drunk and they're yelling. You're not really hearing what happened, or you're like, that person's drunk. Does that make sense? All right, let's get back into the video.
And I think that first of all, that that's an appalling sociological doctrine, and I think it has very negative psychological effects. And they won't be limited to men, because if it's true that there's something toxic, let's say, about masculinity per se, what that will inevitably mean is that as women adopt more masculine roles, traditionally, what is that toxicity somehow going to go away?
But that's a straw man, because no one says there's anything toxic about masculinity per se.
What do you mean no one says that?
People
the term exists.
No,
how is that a straw man? But where did the term come from?
It's a phrase that's used about forms of masculinity that are harmful to men and women. It's not about masculinity per se. You must know that.
I read the American Psychological Association guidelines for the treatment of boys and men, and I know perfectly well that this is no straw man. And it's not only devoted towards what you might describe as the more aggressive ends of masculine behavior. It's aimed at masculinity in a much broader range of. There's a much broader range of accusations that are under the surface than that. And so I don't see in what way at all that it's a straw man.
I'm just going to pause that argument for a second. Go to Catherine McGregor. And Catherine, I mean, you've lived on both sides of the gender fence. So what are your thoughts on these issues? And just go back to the question that was raised.
I don't know whether that qualifies me or disqualifies me, frankly. Sorry, guys, I ratted on the team, but not for any sociological reasons, intensely personal. I gather we might address that. But look, I'm not entirely out of sympathy with Jordan's critique. I'm the oldest person on this panel, bar you, Tony, and in my lifetime, I've seen rolling institutional crises through the West. The great American settlement based on Bretton Woods and NATO and the United Nations and so on is fraying globally in the area that I can talk about with some authority. We're seeing a dissolving global order now with the rise of two autocratic totalitarian capitalist states, which is replicating the conditions of the 1930s. And I gather we're not doing the geostrategic stuff, but I think it's very alarming. When Robert F. Kennedy, who was my political hero, was running for the presidency of the United States in 1968, he addressed disenfranchised African Americans who were wearing the backlash from many white men who were losing their jobs or perceiving that they were losing their jobs.
Right there. So that's the point I was making, right? When Robert F. Kennedy was speaking about Black American men specifically who were entering the workforce and how they had to deal with white males. Again, the history of America and, so in that way, when we were talking about toxic masculinity, that's when it gets radical as well. Because now you're using your male authority to stop, hinder, and just completely strip the rights of another person, whether they man or female. That's toxic. That's radical. That's a problem, whether it's the feminine or the masculine, regardless. But what this person here is saying is that, there are things that men do and women do that are just wrong based off of their gender. So if you're a woman and you use your feminism to be radical or just in the wrong way, of course. But that doesn't mean because a male says that, hey, this is this and this is that, and that's toxic or wrong. Okay? So that's the thing. It's like, and me personally, my personal belief is that whether you're a man or a woman, you got to understand that first of all, we're not equal. Secondly, we have roles and we're just different. It doesn't mean a woman can't work and run a company and be in that role, of course. Well, because you're a woman, your approach and certain things affect you differently, which could possibly affect that job. And like Jordan said, Mr. Peterson said before, it's all about talent. If you're skilled and you can do the job, then you should get the job. It's never been about that. It's just a lot of this feminism, they don't speak about the things that make women women, can potentially affect them being the best candidate, like paternity, maternity leave. If you're pregnant and your company is going public or whatever, there's going to be a requirement, a certain amount of hours and commitment and dedication that a pregnant 8-month-old woman wouldn't be able to fulfill without jeopardizing the baby, which is the most important thing. Right? So we can't ignore those biological facts and data. We can't ignore that. So yes, you can have your career, woman, beautiful woman. You can have these things, but don't push men out of the equation. Don't deem and claim and call us toxic. Not saying that there aren't men who abuse power. It's not what we're talking about here. You can't generalize and say that this is toxic masculinity because a man is telling you you may be happier being a mother after a certain period of time. By the time you're 30 and you haven't had children, you have to make an important decision. For men, it's different. Most of us don't reach our peak in that way until after 35, 40. Let's be honest. But we have the luxury of still being able to create a family and give seed well off in our 60s. Women, you don't. After 35, it becomes very dangerous for you to have children. And the only reason I'm bringing up children is that's the natural order of things, is to create a family. That's it. And if you don't believe that, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about, because most of this feminism is coming from housewives, or women who have careers and want to chase their careers, who are either housewives or trying to, or have a husband, which means family, which in a husband and wife, most of the time, not all the time, children come up. You want to create a family. That's just the natural way of things. I'm married. I have 3 children with my wife. That's the natural thing. My wife works. I work. So what we're talking about, because it happens and it affects that woman more when it comes to her career. Now, there's certain cases where the woman may be the breadwinner. She may make 6 figures a year. Her husband may bring in $75,000 a year. So there are things that, wait, okay, well, maybe the husband may stay home with the kids, because that happens, but that happens. I'll leave it there. I don't even want to get into that. But my point is, we can't ignore and then create this separation and this just confusion. Like, let's have the conversation. Let's really talk about it. But look, guys, that's my time. You guys know I can go into this all day, but I'll leave the original video down below, man. Check it out. Let me know what you guys think about it. I want to hear your thoughts. How do you guys feel about it? I know I have some husbands and some wives and some men and women down there in the comments. Please talk to me. Let me know, guys, what you guys think. And you already know, do, man. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This your boy Ron. This Trigger Reactions. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.